Good morning and thank you for joining us. We are joined today by our elected officials. We'll begin with Mayor Christine Lundberg from Springfield.
Thank you, Jason. This week we want to address some of the questions we're hearing from our community. One question we are hearing: how did the Memorial holiday weekend go? In short, the holiday weekend went well. Our community spent time honoring those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. Thank you. It's important that we honor them and support their loved ones. I personally made a short video for our city Facebook page. I especially want to thank the Oregon Air National Guard for the F-15 Eagle flyovers on Memorial Day in salute of healthcare workers, first responders, and other essential workers. As a Navy veteran who worked on fighter jets, it was a welcome sound and a reminder of how important it is to remember our fallen military members. The beautiful Memorial Day weekend also provided us with an opportunity. It was an opportunity to see how we would do as a community now that we're able to access more businesses and enjoy some of our favorite activities again as we begin to reopen. We're hearing our park systems were a great resource for people to get out while maintaining physical distance. Willamalaine's parks and trails are open, as well as the skate park at Willamalaine Park and the dog park at Lively Park, and the disc golf at Clearwater Park. When you visit local businesses and parks, continue to be patient and practice physical distancing. And when you adventure out to our beautiful campgrounds, wineries, or your favorite coastal spots, please keep using good health habits to reduce risk. As we move into our summer months, please remain vigilant to protect each other's health. We must continue to thoughtfully navigate the challenge of COVID together. Thank you. And now I'll welcome Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Mayor Lundberg. It's wonderful to hear that Lane County residents are continuing to take distancing seriously. One of the other questions we've received several times lately is, are we ready for phase 2? We can tell you that the state has been working to publish some guidelines for the counties, but we don't know what that looks like quite yet. We know that the state's goal in phase 2 is to further expand gathering sizes, allow some office work, and begin to allow some limited visitation to our congregate care facilities. The state has made it clear that it will be evaluating the data it receives throughout phase 1 in order to evaluate whether we can go into phase 2. Here in Lane County, we continue to meet the criteria and what we laid out as required for phase 1. We believe this puts us in a really good place for phase 2. The number of new cases that we found in Lane County, even with the increased Sentinel testing, remains low. We only have one hospitalization in the last month. Our hospitals have capacity to treat more COVID-19 patients should the need arise. And we have adequate supply of personal protective equipment, also known as PPE, for our first responders and medical professionals. We'll continue to work with our state partners to track COVID-19 cases in Lane County, and we can make the most responsible decisions possible to keep our community healthy. If we're able to proceed to phase 2 in Lane County, the earliest possible date that we would be able to do that is June 5th. Please remember that although things are starting to feel a little bit normal again, the weather is getting better. We must still be vigilant about social distancing and wear a cloth mask in public spaces. Keeping COVID-19 rate low in Lane County requires us to all continue to make smart, healthy choices. Now, I'd like to welcome Mayor Lucy Venus to speak about what we can expect this summer.
Thank you, Commissioner Buck. We are doing our best to answer some of the frequent questions we've received from the community. As summer is nearly upon us, we know many people are anxious to know when they can get to the pool, events, and other summer activities. We can tell you that services are going to be a bit different for a while, for all the reasons we've talked about for several weeks now. The keys to our successful reopening include being able to maintain physical distancing and good hygiene and sanitation practices. While pools currently remain closed during Phase 1 of Lane County's reopening, we are working on how we might safely begin swimming lessons and lap swimming at the outdoor Amazon pool during Phase 2. As we learn more about Phase 2 guidelines and when our region might be ready for that transition, we will share information about when pools can open as soon as possible. It has been determined that childcare and summer camps can safely reopen with those important state guidelines in place. Without childcare available, many people are not able to return to work even if their employer has begun reopening. Our community centers are stepping up to help serve this critical need. Childcare programs are now available at Sheldon, Amazon, and Peterson Barn community centers. I'm also excited to share that Eugene Rec will be offering summer camps starting June 22nd. Staff are hard at work planning for camp modifications to keep your kids safe and healthy, including physical distancing, mask wearing, and diligent sanitizing. Because these safety measures will include having smaller groups of campers, we appreciate your understanding that enrollment capacity will be limited. While large community events are on hold, facility rentals, fitness classes, and other rec programming will gradually begin to restart. We plan for the limited and gradual reopening of all our community centers after the start of Phase 2. As always, we will keep the most up-to-date information available on our website. Seeing our businesses, services, and programs open is encouraging. It gives me hope when I see people safely and cautiously going back to their favorite stores and restaurants, or hear the laughter of children playing in small groups in their neighborhoods. These are all signs that we are making slow, steady, and safe progress. Thank you for continuing to be patient and considerate of your neighbors as we all navigate reopening. Thank you for continuing to help us all stay safe.
Thank you, Mayor Venus, Mayor Lumberg, and Chair Buck. It's great to hear from our elected officials and see the work that's being done in our various areas. I'd like to begin with a case update. We are still holding at 66 confirmed cases with one presumptive case. So that's 67 cases, which hasn't changed since last Friday. Of those, we have identified 27 individuals who need to be under monitoring. So those individuals are currently under monitoring. They are staying home, being checked on twice a day by our contact tracers who are doing some of that work to help them get what they need and find out any information that might be pertinent. We have over 10,000 tests that have come from our area, 10,176. So just looking back at our testing situation and how dismal it has been up until this point, this is really good news that we have this high number with still a relatively low number of cases. We still have nobody in the hospital. We have 63 individuals recovered. So only 2 people are left recovering at home. This is fantastic news. And something that we'd like to get down to 0 here in the next few days. In terms of our Sentinel testing program, that is also going well. To date, we have tested around 625 individuals through that program. 305 of those have been in our unhoused community in various shelters. And then the rest have been in long-term care facilities. And we've done around 4 different long-term care facilities there. So that work is ongoing and expanding. We're looking at doing 800 more tests next week in our long-term care facilities and doing several locations for our Latinx community. So we will be reporting back on those numbers here shortly. At this time, I will take any questions from members of the media.
So Sam from KEPW is seeking clarification on whether public health directed St. Vincent de Paul to Dawn to maintain a lower level of clients.
So Sam from KEPW, radio station here in Eugene, asked for some clarification regarding the public health recommendations to dusk to dawn and their capacity. So Sam, what happened was in a poverty and homelessness board meeting, I think you overheard someone from the county talking about our recommendations, and really that process looked at what could be safe, running that through a public health lens. There were some suggestions made about how to increase capacity, but really right now, looking through that public health lens, we put safety as a priority and made the recommendation from that public health lens to keep it at about 125, I believe. And so that is what we're going for right now. This is a multi-agency consideration. This is not just the county, not just St. Vincent de Paul. There's a lot of discussions going on, and really the focus is the safety of the individuals who are utilizing those services. The last thing in the world we want to have happen is folks to become sick from providing that shelter.
3 questions from Emma Jerome at KEZI. The first is what goes into deciding whether to apply for reopening or not.
So a few questions from Emma Jerome at KZI, the first of which is what goes into deciding whether or not we are eligible to apply for phase 2 reopening. So Emma, there's a lot of pieces that need to be made clear still about what entering phase 2 means and what the process for doing that is. However, what we're doing here at Public Health is monitoring all those 7 considerations that Dr. Ludke outlined and that the governor reiterated. So what we know is that right now we are in a good position with our PPE. Certainly our case number is in a place that we're comfortable with, and our contact tracing and various other elements that really went into that public health piece are doing well. Now, whether or not we're ready for phase 2, that's not a consideration we're making right now. We have yet to see how that's going to be really roll out, and we'll be updating the public as soon as we know more.
Will Lane County have a request on the governor's desk next Friday?
So the second question is, will Lane County have a request on the governor's desk next Friday? So we're not sure whether or not that request gets to the governor's desk or how that request gets made. There's a lot of pieces that we still need to find out from the state. I can tell you that we did have some communication earlier today with the state that said, or promised rather, that there will be more clarity later on this week. So when we know more, we will share more. But again, right now, our biggest priority is really maintaining our good standing for phase 1 and pursuing safety and health during this time.
James from KORE, have the rapid testing machines that Lane County ordered for its community health centers arrived yet?
So James from KORE wants to know whether or not our Abbott machines, our rapid test machines that we ordered for our community health centers of Lane County have come in. That is a great question, James, and I must confess I did not check on that before we went on air today, so I will check on that and get back to you.
No other questions?
And there are no other questions. Thank you for joining us.